Hello guys and welcome. In this video, I'm gonna show you and explain to you how I can get to around 860 gatherings per hour at tshira, which is equal to over 9k snake meat and 4.5k scorpion meat at 1950 gathering mastery, as a shai, which is a class that's notoriously slow at this point. This video has two parts. The first part is a showcase of a single rotation with a stopwatch, so that you can have a rough idea of how it looks like. And in the second part, I'm gonna explain everything, including the gears, buffs, and tricks I use for tshira gathering. So here's the showcase of my rotation, which starts right after I finish gathering the two snakes under my tent. Okay, so let's now explain everything. Starting from the gears, so these are the gears I use for gathering. I have currently 1950 gathering masteries with 2 gathering mastery artifacts. Ideally, I would want to swap these 2 gathering item drop rates masteries after I reach 2 gathering masteries. And for the lightstone sets, I'm using the Scurrying Weasel set, which gives me 3% extra movement speed, which is really useful at tshira. And I use yellow sharp alchemy stones for both life and destruction for the extra gathering item drop rate and extra attack speed. I also have a pen soul for with Garmoth Heart for extra movement and attack speed. So Garmoth Heart is not necessary, and for the enhancement level, you don't necessarily have to have it at pen, but at least try, I would say, because that is the point where you can feel that you make a big difference with your self-buffing. And I think you can actually get that soul with a seasoned character. So if you are really into gathering as a shai, you might want to look into that. And speaking of skills, you want to at least max out these skills. 1, 2, 3, hop 3, hop, tuck and roll, and EP, and these 5 passives. And in the talent tab, you want to at least have Summon Star maxed out, because this is our main self buff, and Sun's Fury, which is useful for quick self buffing. And for the skill enhancement, you want to have this Turbo unlocked. And don't forget to have attack speed and movement speed for both 1 to 3 and hop 3. So now let's talk about some tricks I use during the gatherings. I always put my tent at this location, and while I'm gathering these 2 snakes, I will do my repairings in every single rotation. You don't have to put your tent at the same location, but just make sure that you will be able to do the same repairing during your gathering, and your tent doesn't block any sight from your gatherings. You can see that I've gone through a very long distance, but I didn't use the skateboarding skill. There are 2 reasons for that. The first being that if I use that skill to come to this spot, after I finish gathering these 3 mobs, the skateboarding skill is very likely to still be in cooldown for about 1 second, and that potentially slows me down a little bit. And the second reason is that in order to kill all 3 mobs with a single hop 3, I have to land very close to this specific rock, and the landing position of the skateboarding skill is very hard to control. So I would rather use the skateboarding skill to go back from this spot. And as I have mentioned, the landing position of this skill is a bit hard to control, and you have to make sure that you don't go past this snake. Otherwise, you have to go back through this rock, and it takes way more time. Here, as I am gathering this snake, I'm already moving my facing direction to the next snake I'm going to gather. From doing that, I can just do 2 hops and then hop 3 with a little bit of facing direction adjustment, and I will be able to kill all 3 snakes and gather all of them remotely from my position without moving my butt. After gathering this snake is the time we buff ourselves. So for this time, we do the hop cancellation and kill the scorpion on the rock at the same time. Here we have 2 scorpions ahead of us on 2 different rocks. Our strategy here is to get on the first rock and use 1 to 3 to kill them both at the same time, then gather the scorpion on the same rock as we are, then climb on the rock on the left, and then gather the other scorpion. So the reason for that extra climbing is that shai is very short. I've done tests with Meiwa, and I was able to gather both these 2 scorpions at the first rock. So yeah, it is what it is. That's why shai is bad at this spot. I also want to mention that there is only one direction that allows you to get on the rock without that climbing animation, and it is this angle here. Now, similarly, we have to climb up in order to gather another 2 scorpions. There is again a very specific direction which you want to get on to this cliff, and it is from here, then here. Make sure that you don't go left or right, otherwise you end up being stuck. And after you reach this point, you want to squeeze in this very little space, and again you'll end up being stuck if you go left or right. After reaching the top of the cliff, we want to make sure that we land ourselves just next to this big rock and don't get onto it. And this specific location is for our next trick, which allows us to get off the cliff much faster. As we gather the last scorpion, we want to move our cursor to the top tip of this rock. And then we do hop, LMB, hop, and tuck and roll. So after the tuck and roll, we will be experiencing a very short falling animation, and that will land us on the left part of this rock. And after that, we'll be in a bug state where we can just walk down the cliff without any falling animations. And as we walk close to these three snakes, we just use Toro Boom to kill all of them and then gather. There is no point of using Hop 3 or any skills with skill add-on, because after you finish gathering all these three, the skill add-on buff is gone. Here we are gonna buff ourselves again after gathering this scorpion. To do that, we first going to hop once and then do a tuck and roll cancellation. Here we have another one snake at the left hand side of this view on the cliff. The reason I don't gather that snake is a bit complicated. So the basic idea in here tshira is that all the mobs respawn at a time about 2.5 minutes. So if your rotation is shorter than this period, then you are gonna have some respawn issues where you have to wait for the mobs to respawn. And that actually slows you down. So the minimum length of your ordinary rotation has to be equal or greater than 2.5 minutes. And ideally, we want to have that very close to 2.5 minutes, because if your rotation is too long, then there's a very good chance that you actually include some inefficient gatherings in your rotation, just like that snake on the left. And if I want to include that into my rotation, I have to get rid of the 2 scorpions on the cliff, or the 2 snakes and 1 scorpions on the very far end of that road. So by not including that snake, I can also reach a perfect 2-to-1 ratio of snake and scorpion meat, which is perfect for cooking into Valencia meals. There are 2 snakes ahead of us, and our target is to kill them at the same time by 1 to 3. And my strategy here is hop LMB, tuck and roll, and 1 to 3, while aiming at the center point between these 2 snakes. And as we're coming to the end of the rotation, here's the last time when we buff ourselves. And this is the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm also planning on releasing another guide on cooking, so please keep an eye out. If you have any questions or you think there is something that I can do better, please leave them in comments, and I much appreciate those. Thank you very much, and see you next time.